Hey everybody, I'm here with you again, shooting the shit with you today about low libido women, or so labeled low libido women. If you haven't done it yet, grab a copy of my sexual speedometer test, which is a awesome resource. It takes less than 10 minutes to do, and it will tell you where you fall on your unique combination of sexual exciters and sexual inhibitors, or what we call the brakes and accelerators. If you're in a relationship where you've got that mismatched sexual libido, it's a really great resource to help you figure out what's going on and why. Make sure your partner takes the test also. And then I give you some really great tips in there for what you can do to resolve that common challenge. It's one of the main things that I help my couples with. So go grab a copy of that over at sexualspeedometertest.com. But today, I want to kind of expand on some of what I shared last week. I had one of my readers wrote into me and was asking some questions around what do you do when your wife just has no interest in sex, and they've got young kids and she's so focused on the kids and the household and not at all interested in being intimate and sexual with him, and do I just have to live with this and deal with this? So I answered that question in my live from last week. You should be here right on the feed. You can take a look at that if you're curious. But what I want to do today is talk a little bit about the other side of the spectrum for the woman's perspective and what are some things that she can do. Because here's the deal: your sexual relationship, it's the thing that sets your relationship apart from every other relationship, is the sex, the intimacy. Otherwise, everything's just a friendship, right? And so I really believe that it's really important to, if you're having this problem and you have lost interest in being intimate with your husband or with your partner, it is really important that you dive into to why that is and to find some solutions. It's not fair, in my opinion, to just like put him off to the side and kind of like, well, you just have to wait another couple years until the kids are older. Like, that's the kind of the same thing as him saying to you, like, honey, you're just gonna have to wait a couple years before you get to eat all this beautiful food that I just put in the refrigerator. You've got to wait 2 years before I'm gonna let you eat that. It's not right, in my opinion. And so what I think women need to understand, if you're a woman out there watching this, what you need to understand is for most men, sex is literally like food. Like how we might relate to a nice bowl of ice cream or chocolate or a really delicious meal, that's really what sex is for most men. And as women, we tend to not understand that. And we tend to put we sort of prioritize the emotional connection over the sexual, whereas a lot of men prioritize the sexual over the emotional. And what a lot of us will do as women is we'll be like, well, you have to get the emotional thing first, and that's more important. And we're neutering our men when we do that, by the way, ladies. So we don't want to do that. And there's a really beautiful thing that can happen, a real harmony that can happen when we learn how to combine both the sex and the love. And I think the gift that we bring as women is we bring the ability to turn sex into love, and in literally the way that our bodies are designed. We truly have that power. And I think that's one of the greatest gifts that we can bring to our sexual relationship with our partners, is that capacity to turn sex into love. But we don't do it by shutting down our partner's sexuality or shaming them for being too sexual. I think a lot of men have had that program as well. They get shamed for their desires or for being too sexual. But the gift that you can bring women is the love. All right. So there's a real art form in that. But I want to talk about some practical things and answer some of the questions that came through. And thank you again so much, everybody. Thank you for tuning in. It's so good to see you here live. Drop a comment. Let me know where you're tuning in from. And let me know too in the comments if you have some topics you'd like to hear me talk about on these lives. Like, please let me know. I really would love to customize this to what y'all want to hear about. My background is as a sex therapist, so I talk a lot about sexuality and relationships. I'm happy to go into lots of stuff on that for you, but just let me know. This is shooting the shit. We can shoot the shit about a lot of different things. So I want to talk here about what you can do and some practical things. I had a reader write in who said that his wife, when they have sex, she likes it, she enjoys it, but she admitted to him that she'd rather be doing something else. And he's like, what do I do with that? So what I want to say to that is sometimes as women we are wired to be plugged into our surroundings. It's an evolutionary aspect, literally just of our biology. It's not something that we're going to change overnight. even in 100 or 1,000 or 10,000 years, it's probably not something that's going to change. We're wired to be plugged into our environment. So sometimes what can happen when women say that is that she's up in her head and her mind is elsewhere. She's not fully present and relaxed in her body. So if your partner is saying that, or if you are a woman who experiences that, what I would invite you to do is to learn how to shift your awareness to focus on physical sensation. So just sensations. We don't have to try to make anything happen. We don't try to have to have an orgasm or get anywhere, but it's simply a shift of awareness because anytime we're wanting to be somewhere else other than where we are, we're creating resistance. And anytime there's resistance, there's tension. And tension is the biggest inhibitor of sexual arousal, desire, and orgasm. So come into the body and begin to pay attention to sensation. It is literally that simple. It's the quickest pathway to the present moment, to getting out of the head and into the body. So, men, if you're with a woman and that is what she tells you, guide her into her body. Ask her what she's feeling in her chest right now, what she's feeling in her body. Just bring her awareness to your touch, to your hands on her body. Get her in her body. Now, another thing that we tend to do also is we get really dependent on just one kind of touch. We tend to think, okay, we're going to be intimate, we're going to be sexual. So we go straight for the genitals. We start touching breasts, lips, butt, genitals right away, right out of the gate, and usually using, sensual touch. And sensual touch is the kind of touch where there's really no space between. It's sensual, right? It's full, um, engaging fully on the skin and we're touching. But the problem with that is that might not really be your pathway in to turn on. I just got off a podcast interview and we were talking about the exact same thing. There are different types of touch, and for some people, going straight for the genitals or any kind of sexual organ, number one, is not the gateway in, believe it or not. That is for a certain percentage of people, but for a lot of people and a lot of women, if you go straight for the breasts and the genitals right away, it can actually shut down their sexual arousal. It can slow it down and turn them off. So what I would recommend is using different types of touch, and women asking for different types of touch on self-pleasure date. If you're working with your own body through masturbation or self-pleasure, experiment with different ways of touching yourself, including, we never tend to think of this as a type of touch, but no touch at all. So that's like hovering the hands or just having breath and eye contact and just staying there without it having to turn into anything and just starting to notice your body and what you're feeling when there's nothing happening, so to speak. There can be so much happening. For some of us, that is our quickest path to massive turn on, where there's expectation, anticipation, there's teasing. For some of us, that is the route into our turn on. And yet, if we're being touched sensually and sexually right away, and then we're wondering, like, well, why am I not getting turned on? Something must be wrong with me. That's just not true. So, different types of touch. There's kind of 5 different kinds of touch. I just gave you 2 of them, sensual and what we would call like that hovering touch or no touch at all, which is sort of a form of energetic touch. All right. Also, women. I was just working with a client in private coaching yesterday, and it was so beautiful because she was able to identify what she would really love to experience intimately with her husband. And she painted this very beautiful picture of, a room with candles and essential oils and almost like a spa type of environment where it's quiet and there's soft music playing and, there's essential touch and massage happening between them. There's no pressure for it to go anywhere and their bodies are connecting and just becoming one. It was such a beautiful description. And this was really she had really never taken the time really to kind of sink into that and to imagine it and to go into it. But then I asked her, I said, have you ever voiced this to your husband? Have you ever told him that this is what you'd like to experience in the bedroom with him? And these people, they've been married for like over 20 years. And she said, no, like I've never told him that's what I want. So in the meantime, she was getting, whatever he was giving and doing, which obviously was not working for her or for him, because all he wanted was just to know, like, what do you want? Like, what would get you into this? What would make you want to want me? So she identified this beautiful experience. So the point of the story is speak up. He's not gonna read your mind. You've got to take the time to feel into what your body wants and what would feel good for you, and to have the courage to ask for that. Most men that I meet, they love to know what you want and how you want to be touched. They're dying to know, and they're tired of having to always guess and try to figure it out. Can I get an amen in the comments if anyone can relate to this, if there's any men out there that agree with this? So there could be something really beautiful that can happen when we just learn to speak up our desires. Oh, and I see, William, you dropped a comment. Let me see if I can read that. Communication is so important on these topics. You've been married 24 years and you're still learning. I know. We're all still learning things. I'm still learning. I'm a sex therapist for over a decade, and I am still always learning things. We always have ourselves to encounter as well, right? We have our own habits and ways that we tend to show up in relationship where we avoid or we don't trust that our partner is really going to receive what we share, especially when you've been in long-term relationship. But for 24 years, congratulations on that, William. But yeah, the baggage can really get in the way, and we lose faith that our partner's really going to be there and be willing and interested in hearing what we have to say. And so when we do that, when we're avoiding and withholding and withholding our trust, it can lead to feelings of disconnect. And we all want more connection. I think everybody who comes to me, really what they're seeking is they want more connection and a deeper connection. All right. Else do you say? Different things. She wants different things. No, that yes, that's true. We all want different things. And the other thing, it's not a one and done conversation. Absolutely. It's an ongoing conversation. And also our bodies change as we get older. The hormones shift. Sometimes sensitivity can drop a little bit because of blood vessels and nerve endings, and things are, orgasm can become a little bit more elusive sometimes. And we want different things as we get older. So it's a journey. I've always said that our sexual relationship, it's really a journey, and it's something that we co-create. It's never just one person's responsibility. I know that I did that for a long time. When I was married, many years ago, I really made it my partner's responsibility just to know what I wanted and make it great for me. And often he fell short of that. And one of the things I realized in my own awakening, my own journey, is that we all are 100% responsible for our own pleasure. I'm 100% responsible for my experience and for my own pleasure. And so I'd love to leave you with that today. If you were to just apply that to your life right now, it can really be a game-changing question to ask yourself if that's true. If you are 100% responsible for your own pleasure, for your own experience in the intimate relationship, what would be different? Like, how might you start to show up differently if you were 100% responsible? So it's great to be with you here as always. And if you're watching the replay, no problem. Drop it in the comments because I'll get notifications on that, and I'll go, and I really want to hear, what kinds of things do you want me to talk about? What kind of struggles do you have? What kind of challenges do you have in your relationship? Let me know, and I'm going to be jumping on here with you on a regular basis live to answer those questions. And I'd love to keep it relevant to things that you would like to hear about. And if you haven't yet, go over and get your copy of the Sexual Speedometer Test at sexualspeedometertest.com. Get a copy of that, and that's going to help you be able to understand maybe why is she low libido and why am I high libido? We're going to get out of that black and white thinking altogether. It's very limiting, this high libido, low libido conversation. One of my missions here is to change the language on that and change how we're understanding libido and arousal and sexual desire in the first place. So take that assessment. Takes less than 10 minutes to do. Have your partner also take it. And I give you some great tips in there for what you can do to start to get back on the same page. So thanks so much for joining me. And I'll be back here with you again next week.